Hey folks, welcome back to DIY Buddy Guy. Always remember, do not try this at home. I'm only showing you things that I've done. So I have a 2002 four-wheeler Arctic Cat, good brand. Get that out of the way. So I use my four-wheeler for hauling firewood out of the woods. And when I bought the machine years ago, it didn't have headlights for whatever reason. So I'm installing these aftermarket LED headlights, and just want to show you the way that I'm going to do them. On the plug here, the original machine had the low beams and another separate bulb for the high beams, and on the handlebars there's a switch to go between the low beam and the high beam. So what I've done is I have these LED lights that I bought at Napa, and I made brackets to attach them to the original mounting brackets for the headlights. And on these LED lights is you have a red, which is your positive lead, and black, which is your negative lead. And on the four-wheeler, you have your white, which is your positive lead, and your black, which is your negative lead. And I verified that with my test light. Let me see if I can find that real quick. I don't know where my test light is, but hey, you can Google that and figure out what a test light is. So I hooked the clamp of my test light up to the negative on the battery, and I held it to each terminal and turned on the headlights, and when my test light illuminated, it was on the white light here. This one is the low beam. If I flick the switch on the handlebar, this becomes a high beam. The voltage doesn't change, which means that the illumination is not going to change on my LED light. So what I'm going to do is use these watertight butt crimp connectors here to attach the wires from my LED headlight to the low beam portion of the four-wheeler wiring system. I'm just going to cut this plug off and butt splice the wires, these wires to these wires, and I'll show you what I did in just a second. Okay, so here we go again. Here's the plug that I cut off. Here's my test light. The end of this cable is connected to the negative terminal of the battery, and I use that to determine that the white wire here is the positive terminal going to the light. Again, whether it's the low beam or the high beam, the voltage is the same. So just for simplicity's sake, I use the low beam, and I use these butt splice connectors that are heat shrinkable and watertight. And I have some flame here that I'm going to use to heat up these terminals to shrink them and make them watertight. That's another video. You guys can catch that later. And the reason why I did it this way is I could have spent a lot more money on the OEM headlights for this machine, but these lights here were $20 a piece at Napa. They're LED, they're super bright, a lot more lumens than OEM ones. I made a little angle iron bracket, bolted it to the original mounting tab, and all same 2-wire connection, a positive and negative 12-volt DC. And I'm going to turn them on for you in just a second. You can see how bright they are. Okay. So to show you my connections, the negative on the LED light is a black wire, and on the four-wheeler, you can't see it really much on this side. Well, there you go. The black wire is also the negative. The white wire is the positive. The red wire on the LED light is positive. If you have those reversed, the light won't work. But the reason why I hooked it up to the low beam function is because when the low beam is on, it works regardless whether the switch is in the low beam or the high beam position. And those lights are much brighter than OEMs and a lot less expensive. Again, I paid $20 a piece at Napa. There's only 2 wires, a positive and a negative. They're 12-volt LED. And what I have here is some weather-tight crimp connections. So I'm going to heat these up and shrink them so they are sealed and no water can get in and corrode the connections. Thanks again for watching.